were elected as the president of working Americans. And that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. So, it's true.
Yes, Secretary of State and a few other things, Marco Rubio, in the cabinet meeting with President Trump a couple of days ago. Yeah, this Labor Day weekend's especially important for me this year since I have 4 jobs. And everyone laughed because it's true. Even the news media laughed. It was a good moment. Marco Rubio doing a great job, unlike... anybody even remember Joe Biden, Secretary of State, war going on in Europe, war in the Middle East? And I don't think he did anything. I don't think he lifted a finger. He's just, he's a rich guy. It was kind of, being Secretary of State was like having a nice pair of cufflinks. It's on his resume now. Antony Blinken, nothing to brag to his mom about. And a very good Friday to you. Welcome back once again. It is the Friday leading into Labor Day weekend. They like to call it the unofficial end to summer, the unofficial end of summer. And I guess in many ways it is. Am I right? It's kind of like that. It's true. But we got a lot because the Democrats are on the loose. They're out of their cages again. And we've got a whole bunch of it for you. We've got the psycho transgender, and the Democrat Party, they created this monster in Minnesota. They created a teenager boy who thought he was a girl, and then his mom was convinced. And have you seen the latest on his mom? The psycho killer who said, "I'm a girl." And then when he was 17 years old, his mom took him downtown to change his name to a girl name. Got rid of his birth name and his middle name and took kind of a girl's name. And he said, "Now I'm a girl." And amazingly, maybe not surprisingly, but amazingly nonetheless, he had a journal because he's a girl, you know. And what kind of a 23-year-old young man? Oh, I'm keeping a journal because my life is going to be so interesting to me later on that I'll read my journal that no one else will care about. But the psycho killer transgender piece of work, mentally ill Sacagawea, he entered in his journal that he had regretted becoming a tranny. Suddenly he was no longer interested in being a tranny, and he's talking about killing himself because, you know, he's transgender, and 4 out of 10 transgender self-identified people at least attempt suicide. So that shouldn't come as a big surprise to anyone. But we've got an update on that because the psycho killer, he regretted. It's just amazing stuff. He's got an uncle, and the news media wants to point out that his uncle's a Republican. Says the uncle says that I wish he'd shot me instead, which is thoughtful, I guess, but too late and doesn't matter at this point. The psycho killers and the number of transgender psycho killers across the country are numerous. A great many psycho killers out there on the loose that are transgender, many of whom have already acted. But we've got Mom. Have you seen Mom? Mom, no, you haven't seen Mom because Mom is in hiding. Mom is not cooperating with the police. That's the tranny psycho killer's mother, the mother that brought him down to the courthouse to change his name because now my son is my daughter. And isn't this normal and healthy? Isn't it wonderful? And Mom she's not talking to the police. She's not cooperating at all. She has a lawyer now. She's lawyered up. And I thought this was kind of interesting. The lawyer she got is Colin Kaepernick's lawyer. That's one of the headlines today. Colin Kaepernick's lawyer. Colin Kaepernick, the NFL player that took a knee. Remember, started the whole take a knee thing when the national anthem of the United States of America is being played because racist, you know. And so she's not talking to the police. She's not cooperating. She's not talking to the media, which is understandable. And And she now has a lawyer, and the lawyer is Colin Kaepernick's lawyer, which is a political decision by her, just as was the case when her 17-year-old son said, "Mom, I'm a girl." And she said, "Oh, good, let me take you downtown to change your name to a girl name." And of course, the 17-year-old had to be dealing with this from the time he was 16 or maybe 15 years old, because the Democrat Party was trying to convince kids in school that their gender was not their own. That's the Democrat Party driving the train on this. And the Democrat Party driving the train on being anti-Catholic and anti-Christian, even though the tranny psycho killer went to school at this Catholic school. The tranny psycho killer's mother worked as an employee at the school, the Catholic school Annunciation, where he went and shot the place up and murdered 2 kids and wounded so many others. And the news media, they don't want to talk about this anymore because it's not good for the Democrat Party. But it's a demented world that the Democrats are building. It's the fundamental transformation of America. These people are not on the side of civilization. And the psycho killer boy, he's got, in his journal, just amazing stuff, said he was tired of being trans. Trans is short for transgender, but it's a prefix used with a whole lot of different words in different circumstances. So I don't accept trans as the appropriate word to describe what we're talking about here. Transgender, you can do that. That's a non-existent thing also. But the Democrats have created this universe in which their sexual dysphoria, their gender dysphoria, and their sexual confusion becomes a dominant political, cultural feature in the United States of America. But Psycho Boy, who looks like the deformed guy from that Cher movie. What was that Cher movie? Yeah, Mask. Yeah, he looks like the deformed guy from Mask. And the school killer Robert Westman, who said, "Call me Robin," because like Batman and Robin. No, like a girl I met once named Robin. He confessed he was tired of being trans, and those are his words. Tired of being trans, and I wish I never brainwashed myself. See, here's the thing. I'm going to bet $1 he didn't actually brainwash himself. Maybe he took over after a period of time. But when he was 17, when he was 16, when he was 15, it was the Democrat Party bringing this into schools that led to this boy becoming a psychopath as a man when he killed himself with a gun after shooting up a Catholic mass in a church at a Catholic school, a school that he had once attended, a school where his mother had once worked, and she won't cooperate with the police, and she won't talk to the media, which is understandable. I'm tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself. That's because that's, the 40% attempted suicide rate. There's a movement now to convert people back that the Democrats have convinced were some other gender. So we've got that going on all over the place, too. Isn't that amazing? So I've got updates for you on that. Also, the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, he was at a public event at a speech, and he actually prayed yesterday because the Democrats are attacking prayer now. When people said thoughts and prayers after the terrible attack by a Democrat-created monster, then people prayed, and the Democrats attacked Jen Psaki and lots of other Democrats, media and political Democrats, attacked, prayer, take your prayers, and, take your trannies and have them stop perpetrating mass murders and mass shootings and suicides. How about that? You guys should stop shooting people. You should stop the suicide attacks. And if you want the suicide attacks, please could you just go with self-immolations? Because, those take care of business, and there's just one of you. You can drench yourself in gasoline and set yourself on fire, like so many Democrats have in the last few years. From the Supreme Court to the Trump trial in New York to the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, Democrats self-immolating. From the Israeli embassy in Washington to the Israeli consulate in Atlanta, Democrats self-immolating. Democrats have learned to enjoy self-immolation. We've had more Democrats self-immolate in the last 3 years than there were Buddhist monks that self-immolated during the entire Vietnam War. That's actually true. 6 Buddhist monks self-immolated during the entire Vietnam War. 8 Democrats have self-immolated in the last couple of years across the United States of America. I don't think the Democrat Party is well. I don't think that they're mentally well. Isn't that remarkable? So we've got that going on. Speaking of which, Barack Obama. Speaking of what? Well, speaking of Barack Obama reemerged yesterday. And guess what he is in favor of? He's in favor of crime. He's in favor of murder. Don't fight crime. Fight against people that are fighting crime. Barack Obama, his middle name is Hussein. Did you know that? Had you heard that before? That's Barack Hussein Obama. And Barack Obama has come forward. He's come out of the closet once again, dancing with Larry Sinclair in public. And he's fighting for crime. Barack Obama is. Pretty amazing guy, this Democrat. He was president of the United States 2 times running. Remember, they used the IRS against their political enemies, the Internal Revenue Service. If you're a member of a patriot group, so-called patriot group, or a so-called Tea Party group, the IRS targeted you. They used the Justice Department against the Democrat Party's political enemies. They used the FBI against the Democrat Party's political enemies. They used the FISA courts against the Democrat Party's political enemies, and they lied to the FISA courts again and again to get 4 should-be illegal warrants to spy on the political enemies of the Democrat Party. They used the CIA and Communist Party voting penitentiary-faced John Brennan, CIA director. They used the CIA against their political enemies, and they all lied about the Hunter Biden laptop and a disinformation campaign that our own intelligence people ran against the American voting population. Isn't that great? Yes, sir. So the Democrats, I mean, look, there was no transgender teenager in Minnesota until the Democrat Party started peddling, pimping, selling, promoting this transgenderism stuff. And it is an ideology, and I played that great audio yesterday. Did we post that audio? I don't know if we... Did we post that audio of the nice lady who's an LGBTQ, used to be in the business for years of shepherding children from one gender to another, and then she figured out that this was insane, and she backed away, and I'm told, we've posted that audio for you to share with your family and friends because it's quite remarkable. Yes, sir. And what else do we have? So the Democrats. Oh, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. We've got Barack Obama coming out fighting in favor of crime, and because President Trump is fighting against crime, and he's talking about fighting against the murder rate in Chicago. And so Barack Obama came out of the closet to fight in favor of the murder rate in Chicago. So far this year in Chicago, 235 people have been murdered. Another 1,069 have been shot and wounded. Now, you have to go back, I don't know how many years, maybe 10 years in Afghanistan to find that number of Americans killed. 10 years of war in Afghanistan, and you may be at 235 homicides that they have in Chicago with 1,069 wounded. And Barack Obama is out fighting in favor of more crime and fighting against crime. That's today's Democrat Party. Very, very unwell. These people are not normal. They're not good people. They're not good neighbors. And boy, are they terrible leaders. Barack Obama warns all Americans at risk. All Americans are at risk, you see, after Trump threatens, and I love the use of the word threatens, to clamp down on Chicago. This is a newspaper, The Independent. Now, here's the thing. He's not threatening anything. He's offering to help. And he's not it's not a clamp down on Chicago. It's a clamp down on crime in Chicago. That's not the same as a clamp down on Chicago. That's a clamp down on crime. But the headline, they lie in the headline. That means they're going to lie in the body of the story, too. Obama warns all Americans are at risk after Trump threatens to clamp down on Chicago. Everything is wrong about that headline. Because just so far this month in Chicago, 30 people have been shot and killed. 169 shot and wounded. Just this month, just in August. And the Democrats like, yeah, sure, that's no problem. This week, 6 shot and killed, 17 shot and wounded. And Barack Obama has come out to fight in favor of more of the same. Also in California, Gavin Newsom, he's out of the closet too. He's come out and he's calling for more police to fight crime, and he's acting like he's had an original idea here, like this is his thought. his big idea. Aha! I've decided more police to fight crime in California. And he just thought of it himself. Democrats, there is something terribly wrong with their brains. We are at 888-630-9625.
Just say thank you, please.
Ah, yes, the Democrats. I love it. The gloves are off. The gloves are off. Obama is out, and he's fighting for more crime in Chicago, where the ugliest presidential library ever conceived is being built. They don't even call it a library because no Democrats will go to a library. So what are they calling it, a whorehouse? What are they? It's amazing. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Steve, calling from Sarasota, Florida. Stephen, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Morning, Chris.
Hey, Steve.
I was just listening to this discussion on the situation in Minneapolis, and something occurred to me that's different about this shooting than other ones we've seen in the past. We have a very transparent administration now, and we are seeing in real time and dealing in real time with the facts on the ground. Like with Tennessee, I think it was 2 years before the FBI let the information on the manifesto out, and in other situations, we found out it sort of seeped in like gradually over time. But now we have this information in real time, and we can deal with the situation in real time. And for some reason, these other situations where we've had these situations where they've experimented on kids and they've gone crazy and stuff like this, and I know it's kind of inflammatory rhetoric, but that's what I believe is really going on here. And in the past, they've had time to prepare for their responses, and now they have to come out and they have to drag out the old rhetoric. Hey, it's guns. Hey, it's our society. We just hate people, and they go crazy like this, because of the hate that's going on and all their tired rhetoric that they have to drag out here right away, and they're completely unprepared for this.
Everything Psycho Boy. I'm sorry, Steve, but everything Psycho Boy hates, there are things that the Democrat Party teaches people to hate: Jews, Israel, Christians, Catholics, Republicans. Trump. He had "Kill Trump" and "Trump must die" written on his weapons, right? And he's a tranny. The Democrats create teenage trannies, right? And you're absolutely right. The manifesto's out in no time. We're talking about the fact that he's a tranny. You mentioned Nashville 2023. That was a tranny girl who was told she's a boy, went in there, killed 3 students, 3 adults, killed herself. And the Democrats called her him. The Democrats are calling this one her when he's a him. And the media, too. But you're right, Steve. This is a very different landscape we're dealing with this time around, because it's not the Democrats and the Biden people in charge who are engaged in cover-ups. And they live in a world of make-believe because they're Democrats. All right, I want to go back to the telephones. I also talking about the transgender 23-year-old who decided as a teenager, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl, and his mom took him downtown to change his name and apparently put him on hormone therapy. That would be a young teenage boy taking female hormones because he was told somewhere at school that maybe you're feeling a little anxiety because you're really a girl on the inside. And the Democrats have been peddling this and selling this. And, the Club Q in Colorado Springs, Club Q massacre a few years ago now, where a transgender person went into a gay club and attacked with a rifle and shot and killed, how many people? Shot and killed 5 or 6 people. 22-year-old crazy person, and in 2022, and shot and wounded, killed 5 people, wounded 26 more, 19 of them by gunfire, and then was captured by a U.S. Army officer that was there at the gay club with his daughter because his daughter's friend was playing in the band that night, and the brave man, U.S. Army officer, tackled the gunman and kept him alive. And then the Nashville Christian school shooting in 2023, Audrey Elizabeth Hale, who decided that Audrey Elizabeth Hale was really a man. As a woman said, "No, I'm really a man. Call me Aiden." And 28 years old, went into the Christian school in Nashville with an AR-15 style rifle and a 9mm pistol and shot and killed 6 people and then killed herself. But the news media and even the Wikipedia page refers to her as a transgender man. Now, that's not the case. Then yesterday we had another one, and there have been many more involving the transgenders with the mass shootings and the massacres and all of that good stuff. Now, that would seem to be a problem given that we're talking about a minuscule percentage of the population and an outsized number of mass shootings and mass murders at schools and churches and clubs and elsewhere. And then if you say our thoughts and prayers, then the Democrats scream and yell and pound the table and cry, say your thoughts and prayers are of no use to anyone. Okay. How about your transgender therapy? How's that going? Going pretty well? You think boys should be girls and girls should be boys? Is that what I'm saying? Man, oh, Manischewitz. I'm telling you, I played this great audio yesterday. Jamie Reed played this Jamie Reed audio yesterday, a woman who used to help teenagers transition from male to female and female to male. And, you know, yes, sir. Now, hey, wait a minute. What do we want to go to the phones? Let's see. Let's go to Bob calling from. Where's Bob calling from? Washington, D.C.? I apologize. To Chattanooga, Tennessee. Having a little phone hiccup here. Let's go to Bob calling from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Oh, Bob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, thank you for taking my call. Calling from Chattanooga, WGOW.
WGOW. Thank you very much for that. That's wonderful. Thanks, Bob.
Hey, I appreciate it. I think it's ironic how you have been condemning the others for politicizing the shooting, and you accuse them of being partisan. I listened yesterday, tried to get on and talk about that, but then you proceed to blame everything on Democrats. Uh-huh. It's like a one-note song, and it's kind of insulting to your audience. I'd like to talk about that.
Well, sure. I don't think that Republicans are trying to convince teenagers that they're trapped in the wrong body, though, are they?
Well, see, that's the thing, is to see everything through a lens of Democrat and Republican is the fault. I think that the kid is mentally ill.
Right.
And he's a loner.
Yeah.
And he's susceptible to the words of the devil. That's why he's trans. That's why he was nihilistic. That's why he's a loner and a murderer. But you don't really want to talk about mental illness because a lot of times pharmaceuticals is probably part of the problem, and that's, you know, a big part of what, pharmaceutical companies own broadcast media. Like in another example, as you blame the crime in D.C., it's Democrat crime. No, it's clearly a fatherless Negro problem, not a Democrat issue. You blame the Democrats for church violence. Also yesterday you were talking about the churches and the bombings and everything. Uh-huh. But, you know, you don't talk about the Israeli Defense Force who just blew up some of the most ancient Christian churches that are still surviving on the planet. You blame the Democrats for the trannies, okay? But what about Magnus Hirschfeld? He was the one who created the first transgender surgery in Weimar, Germany. Magnus Hirschfeld was not a Democrat, okay? There's a certain group of people that are responsible for transgenderism, and it's not Democrats, okay? It's not Republicans either. It's not a Democrat. It's not a political issue.
Who is it then?
Well, I would ask your listeners to look up Magnus Hirschfeld in Weimar, Germany. Founded the first transgender clinic, first male-to-female surgery. What was his affiliation? What was the content of the books that the National Socialists were burning? You know, when they piled the books and, you know, the Nazis burned them. What were those books about? It was about stuff like transgender surgery and transgender pornography and stuff like that. Well,
the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler burned a lot of books, and you're right about all this, and I have looked this up in the past, and Magnus Hirschfeld the transgenderism in Germany in the 1930s, and there are even books and movies, about what that cabaret and things like that have been established over time. And you're right, it does, the whole idea that you can change genders does go back, and there may be other roots as well, but I am aware of the Magnus Hirschfeld Germany 1930s component to all of that. Now, that said, they also had National Socialism and the Socialist Workers' Party, which we've successfully avoided in the United States. And I think we should also be able to, and look, and let me say this also, Bob, if you're 18 years old or 25 years old and you say, gosh, I'm trapped in a man's body and I shouldn't be because my inner thing is that I'm a woman, then I would say that you have some mental issues, and I think you probably do if that's what's going on in your head. But that said, what's happening now, I think, Bob, in the United States is that children are being targeted in schools down to kindergarten and first grade with transgender strippers being brought in to twerk in the faces of first grade children in school. You're clearly aware of that also, right, Bob?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
These are folks without a unifying cultural heritage, which
Right.
America had up to a certain point, up until about the 60s.
Right.
We were a vastly Christian,
That's right.
almost a single ethnicity, almost a single religion. And then who came along? What is it? Who hates Christianity? Who hates Christ so much that they would drive Christianity out of the schools and try to divide the people and try to keep people from finding Jesus? What group is it that's doing all this? It's not Democrats.
Well, I would.
Southern Democrats were Christian.
No, I don't. I'm hoping you're not going to say it's the Jews, but never mind that for a moment, because I would argue, Bob, to a very large extent, it's the left. Now, the communist left is anti-Christian, right? In communist China, in the Soviet Union, they crush Christianity. You seem to shoot over to Israel, bombing ancient churches in Gaza for a moment. And you also referred to the crime in Washington, D.C. as the cause of that being fatherless Negroes, and that's kind of 1960s, 1950s language. And certainly single-family households, fatherless households, a huge component in all of it. And there's no doubt about that. I mean, if you grow up in a single-parent household, you're much more likely to be involved with the court system and be involved with criminal activity and be involved with crime and to drop out of school before you finish high school. And all of that certainly is true as single-parent households. And it is tragically ubiquitous in black households, and Washington, D.C. is largely a black city. But certainly that is an element in the crime problem in Washington, D.C. and in Chicago and in other cities as well. And if we had any black leadership in this country, which I've talked about many times, Bob, if Barack Obama were actually a black leader, if Al Sharpton were actually a black leader, then these issues would be front and center. They'd be talked about. We'd be taking on the single-parent household issue. Now, I mean, the truth is that I'm one of 6 brothers, and I was overwhelmingly, and my brothers raised in a single-parent household. Our mother raised us single-handedly, and most of us turned out okay. But there were issues along the way. There's no doubt about it. But Bob, your macro point here is that there's a mental health issue, and I don't disagree with that when it comes to the transgenderism and then the homicides and the mass murders and the mass shootings. I don't disagree with any of that. There is a mental health issue, but I would say that the left and the Democrat Party have been fostering, fomenting, fueling, and encouraging this gender bending stuff, which again has been a part of the culture really in the U.S. since the 1960s. You can go to David Bowie, the great singer and songwriter and all that, and he did his freaky gender thing way back then. And again, Cabaret, Joel Grey with the Nazis back then, and all of that is true. However, the Democrats have tried to take it mainstream, I think, because they're bitter. Like, oh, we're gay and we're being discriminated against, and then win everything. They won every battle, right, with same-sex marriage and schools, discrimination, and laws passed. And they say, okay, we won every battle. What do we do now? Well, let's take it to the extreme. Let's say transgenderism is the new standard that we're going to use because we won every battle on the they call it civil rights, on the gay front, and won every battle on the African American civil rights front. Although it didn't turn out to be the big success that we had hoped in many respects. That's true. But Bob, you seem like an intelligent person, and you're calm, cool, and collected. But and you're right about the mental illness. I don't know if you have a personal or a family tie to any of this transgenderism, or a personal coworker or something like that. But I've got nothing against an adult that wants to dress up like his mother and dance around and do whatever they want. They've had these drag brunches in Washington, D.C. for as long as I've lived here, and the drag parades in DuPont Circle for years. And it was always funny and fun and laughter and bearded men in dresses running around laughing and, drinking shots and telling jokes. And it was all fun. But then the Democrats politicized it all to the point, and it is the Democrats. And again, you say, when did all this change? I think the left infected the United States in ways during the Vietnam War, where the Hanoi Janes of the Democrat Party decided to saddle up with the communists of North Vietnam rather than the United States of America. And the left really sunk their teeth into education. And then they got to this gender agenda issue. And they've decided that little children have to be exposed, not just like it's okay to be gay, your teacher's gay, that's fine, but you might not be a boy. You might be a girl on the inside. You might not be a girl. You might be a boy on the inside. And that's a recent development. And Bob, I would say that is driven by the Democrat Party and the left in the United States.
Well, if that's the case, let's do a little thought experiment. Obviously, this would be impossible, but let's just say that the Democrat Party was completely illegal and completely removed from America. Uh-huh. Okay. Do you think there would still be a problem of crime in D.C.? Do you think there would still be transgender murderers?
Well, I think
there'd still be church bombings. I think so. I think it's not, I think that those things, those people are, the Democrat Party appeals to those people, but the Democrat Party doesn't create those problems.
Well, I think they encourage a lot of it, though. I honestly do.
Yeah.
They make excuses for criminals and say, oh, well, there are sociological and economic reasons for all of this. And, really it's your fault, and it's white people's fault, and it's slavery, and it's our country is corrupt, and our culture is corrupt. But, Bob, I think the left has secured cultural dominance in the United States to much too great an extent. Cultural dominance in education. Look at the teachers' unions and the teachers' unions leaders. Look at academia on college campuses. And I think the left has outsized influence in all of these arenas.
If that were the case, if they have such outsized influence, why is it that we give $4 billion a year to Israel to blow up innocent people in Gaza? And why are, when it's time to deport people, really the only people that are getting deported, significant numbers, are people who protest on college campuses against Israel, rather than, the people that we voted Donald Trump to remove, which is the people who are taking the jobs away and using public assistance.
The people on college campuses are minuscule in number compared to the Tren de Aragua and MS-13 gang members and the human traffickers and drug traffickers, who, again, are turned into heroes by the Democrat Party, like their great friend that they just keep going and having margaritas with. And Kilmore Abrego Garcia is a hero of the Democrat Party. Oh, Luigi Mangione gunned down a CEO in New York City, and he's a hero of the Democrat Party. And look, you're talking about a couple of people from the Islamic world, the Arab world, on college campuses that are inciting violence against Israel and Jews. And I don't think Israel is out to kill innocent people. We're talking about Hamas, which was voted into power by the people of Gaza as their political leadership. And the Hamas Charter calls for the extermination of the state of Israel and the extermination of the Jewish people. That is actual genocide, as opposed to bombing headquarters where, the Hamas people hide out in schools, they hide out in hospitals, they store their weapons in the basements of schools, and it's also kind of unrelated to what we're talking about, having to do with the transgender mass attack, the murder of 2 children, and wounding of now I think the number is 18 more. And that goes to, you're right, there's mental illness, but I don't think that dismissing the fact that teenagers like this suicidal psycho killer, transgender person, day before yesterday, I don't think encouraging teenagers in school to go down that road is a positive or productive thing. Now, one final question, Bob. Who did you vote for president on Election Day?
When you asked me that last time when I called, you wouldn't believe me because you refused to believe that somebody who voted for Trump would have any kind of criticism of what he's doing in Israel.
All right, so you did? No, you're entitled to criticize whatever you want. So you're saying that you voted for Trump. Is that correct?
And when I said that, you spent the rest of the show telling your audience that I was a liar, that I was a false caller.
I don't. Well, that happens a lot, these seminar callers. I don't recall doing that, Bob, but I'm glad you called in today. All right, well, a lot going on there. And you're right, I got a fact check on me. You're right. It was a 5.56 Lead Star AR-15 style pistol, not rifle, in Nashville. I apologize for that. Correct that. Let's go to Bill, calling from Wilmington, North Carolina. Billy, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. I just want to say that old Bob sounds like one of those guys you're always talking about. His mind is so open, his brain fell out.
He covered a lot of territory there, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And, I don't know if you remember, one of the hostages escaped, and all the people in the streets turned him in to Hamas. I mean, they're not innocent people. I think they're just, they might be brainwashed, but they're not innocent. I don't think so anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Look, they voted for Hamas to be their political leadership. They staff the Hamas. They're raised, it's a corrupt culture. Hamas is a corrupt culture. They were, a two-state solution. They were given an area twice the size of Washington, D.C. They were given free elections. And look what happened.